Follow me.
Doey the Doughman is one of the most fascinating and unique experiments Playtime Co. has ever created. He was made with 3 different boys, each with their own distinct personality. Because of this, Doey was unpredictable. Just a single emotion could set off 900 pounds of dough. This is part of what makes him so fascinating. Emotions control this entire experiment, and when your emotions take over, you might do something you regret. This is the story of Doey the Doughman.
Don't worry, I won't eat you.
This character's story is a classic tale of friend to foe, but of course, it's much deeper than that. It's rooted in tragedy, just like everything that comes out of Playtime Co. Nothing has a happy ending, and Doey is no exception to this. He is proof that no matter how hard you try, sometimes things just don't go your way. Tragedy leads to emotions, and with emotions, you can often become unrecognizable. But before we get there, in Playtime Co. fashion, it all starts with a toy.
He's gummy, he's squishy, he's funny. He's silly, he's gooey, he's sticky, he's gluey. D-O-E-Y. Look at all the so many toys and one. Triple times the friend and triple times the fun. D-O-E-Y. Love it till the day that you die.
Call the number on screen and order your Doey today. Order now while supplies last. Shipping and handling costs may vary. Do not ingest Doey Dough or any products in the Doey Dough line.
What's the top?
In the 1950s, after the huge success of the Poppy Playtime doll, Playtime Co. launched their second big commercial hit, Doey Dough, a toy made entirely of moldable dough. You could stretch it, squish it, and mold it into anything you wanted. Coming in 4 different colors, it was marketed as many different toys in one. Doey Dough was successful for many years, but the dough itself needed a friendly face, something kids could relate with. So around 1990, Playtime Co. created Doey the Doughman, a sort of mascot for the Doey Dough. He would be marketed with the dough, and you could even purchase him separately. Doey the Doughman was made from the 4 different colors of dough you could buy. He wore a small top hat and always carried a big bright smile on his face. He was the perfect toy for any child's collection. However, for one child, Doey the Doughman would be their last. On Christmas Day of 1992, a young boy named Jack Ayers was gifted a Doey the Doughman figure. Along with the toy was an invitation to the Playtime Co. factory. He would now be able to see how his favorite toy was made. Jack was the son of Susan and George Ayers. While being enthusiastic and happy most of the time, he was also a very curious kid, as most are. However, this curiosity would ultimately cost him his life. While on the tour, Jack began staggering a little too far behind the rest of the group. Curious about the massive vats of dough, he ignored his mother's warnings and leaned on the railings of the catwalk to get a better look. Suddenly, the railing broke and Jack fell into the vat of dough. His cause of death has never been revealed. Perhaps he was suffocated by the immense weight of the dough, or he was gravely injured. Either way, the doctors at Playtime Co. took the boy and attempted to save his life. Considering the injuries, assuming he had some, there was only one thing they could try that might keep him alive. They decided Jack Ayers would be one of the 3 boys that would make up their newest, bigger body. In an attempt to save his life, Jack would now forever be a part of Doey the Doughman, experiment number 1322A. It's unknown if Playtime Co. tried to truly save Jack, or if they decided to take advantage of the situation and use him for their own gain. But what was known for sure is that Jack would from then on be a part of his favorite toy. Like I said before, Jack was just one of the 3 boys that made up the bigger body version of Doey. So this brings us to 1322B, the second boy, Kevin Barnes. Kevin was quite the opposite of Jack. He had trouble getting along with others. He even had aggressive and confrontational social tendencies, which labeled Kevin as a problem child. Because of this, he only had a select few friends, but would actually attack them in moments of intense play. These behaviors raised concerns for the staff, however he excelled in all physical tests. Reflexes, reaction time, and mental fortitude all tested well above average in the game station examinations. Kevin's performance outweighed his neural abnormalities as Dr. Sawyer thought Kevin was ideal for Project Doey. Using a so-called problem child for an experiment was probably not the best idea, regardless of test scores. This shows the intense greed of Harley Sawyer, needing success no matter the cost. Regardless, because of Kevin, they needed to be careful not to create a ticking time bomb. Even a single misregulation of emotions would mean they have 900 pounds of dough that could shift however it pleased, and could turn on whoever it trusts simply because it was overwhelmed by a stray feeling. This was explained to us by a scientist making a report for Kevin and his neural abnormalities. At first, he was interrupted by a child named Joseph, who was curious about his friend Kevin. This tape began in chapter 3 and it was finished in chapter 4. It foreshadows what's to come. This brings us to 1322C. Matthew Hallard, an orphan that came to play care at 15 years old. Most parents were looking for younger children to adopt, meaning Matthew was unlikely to find a home outside of play care. This meant he was perfect for an experiment. Luckily for them, he was a dream child. Matthew was thoughtful, kind, considerate, understanding, and while maybe not as intelligent as some of the other children, averaging only B to C level work in school, nor as physically gifted, he more than makes up for it in his charm and charisma. These are words directly from Claire Harper, a counselor at Playcare. She continues how Matthew suffers from deep insecurities and blames himself for the accident that put him in Playcare. Matthew was unable to save his family, and he carries the guilt of this with him every day. But this did not stop him from being a good person. Matthew became sort of a leader to the younger children at Playcare. He would read books to them, break up fights, and the children listened to everything he said. If it wasn't for the Bigger Body Initiative, Matthew would be perfect for Playtime Co. staff. But because of his age and his incredible personality, the scientists thought he would be a perfect fit for the third boy inside of Doey. With all three boys, experiment 1322 was now complete. A monumental step for the scientists. 3 different human consciousness inside of one experiment. Jack, the innocent and happy one, Kevin, the tempered yet physical one, and Matthew, the leader to hold them all together. It seemed perfect. They created an experiment that could fulfill multiple assigned roles. However, when you mix 3 different personalities, the emotions tend to get a little unstable.
Sir, ma'am, I ask that you remain calm whenever you interact with the patient. He's only been awake a few days now. In many respects, he's still adjusting.
Is that him? Is that my boy?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Oh, George, that's our boy, Jackie.
Some time passes after Jack Ayer's incident, and his parents receive a cryptic letter from someone at Playtime Co. It tells them that they can have their son back alive, and to return to the factory in 6 weeks to see him. So the two do just that, expecting to see Jack again. When they arrive, a scientist warns them to remain calm when interacting with him. He has only been awake for a few days and is still adjusting. Of course, the parents are completely blindsided by what they see. Instead of their son, they witness Doey. Interestingly, his mother is relieved to see Jackie again, regardless of what he is now. Perhaps she's just happy to know he is somehow alive. However, in a fit of rage, his father George questions what he even is, as that's not human. They calm themselves and ask to enter his room to speak with him, which the scientists happily oblige, and they even close the door behind them. Susan apologizes for what happened. She blames herself for it. It's a very sad moment, but what's important now is that he is back. However, Doey doesn't recognize them and is confused by their presence. He just wants to be left alone, but Susan refuses to leave her boy again. Doey mentions how the gentle voices lie. They lie, they poke, and they hurt. This hints that Doey might have thought the voices he was hearing were not Jack's parents, but rather the scientists. He thought they were lying to him. Frustrated and confused, in one swift bang, he kills Susan. George begs for the door to be opened, only for him to also be taken out by Doey. Realizing what he had just done, Doey cries. Now, in a state of mixed emotions, it seemed Kevin took over from Jack after Doey was frustrated with Jack's parents not leaving. Or like I suggested, he might have thought they were scientists. Because of this, Kevin kills Jack's parents, but Jack comes out crying after it happens. This shows us just how quickly Doey is able to change personalities. At a moment's notice, because of a single emotion, he can change into a killing machine, which is something the scientists were afraid of. This report is important because it puts an end to Jack's past life. And that's just it. This event was not to reunite Jack and his parents. Playtime Co. lured Jack's parents back into the factory to tie up a loose end. Remember, the other two boys were orphans, Jack was not. So they had his parents killed by the hands of their own son. Now, the details about Doey's life while working for Playtime Co. remain a mystery. We can assume he helped the children of Playcare considering his past life as Matthew. As to what the other two tasks were, it's unknown. But remember, he was made for multiple roles, so we can assume he was a busy guy. Eventually, the Hour of Joy took place, and any details about his involvement in it, again, remain an unfortunate mystery. It's a shame we don't have information about this, but that's the price we pay for getting such a big chapter. We can again assume that he did not participate in the slaughter, or maybe he did because of Kevin. Regardless, after it was over, he and the remaining toys that did not take the prototype side relocated themselves inside of a safe zone made to protect the staff from the experiments. They took it over and called it Safe Haven. Here, the toys were safe and looked over by Doey. Just like Matthew was a leader to the orphans, Doey was a leader to the toys. Well, him and Poppy. You see, while all the humans were gone, there was still a sort of civil war going on against the experiments. The ones that followed the prototype and the ones that rebelled against him. The fighting against both sides would go on for months, causing many of them to perish, including all of the smiling critters. This took a serious toll on everyone, especially Doey. Everyone looked up to him, but it was hard to keep his head on straight in such dark times. On top of this, Poppy had left Safe Haven and never returned. Things were scary without her. This left Doey at a crossroad. He could take the exit and leave, something he had always wanted to do, or he could stay and help the other toys alone. In this moment of weakness, Doey found something in himself. The rest of the toys meant a lot to him, a lot more than he ever thought they did. They needed him, and knowing how they see him, he decided to stay and help the others, because without him, they would be lost, and would likely fall victim to the prototype. This, of course, was Matthew making the decision to stay, a decision driven by emotions, because in that moment, Doey realized the other toys were his family. Now, Matthew's personality is believed to be the primary of the three inside of Doey. This means that throughout Chapter 4, most of the time, this is Matthew. He shines by guiding the toy survivors inside of Safe Haven as their leader. Whenever Doey is put in a stressful situation, he always presents himself as strong and reliable, which gives the other survivors hope. That being said, anytime Doey is playful, happy, or acts like a kid, this is likely Jack's personality coming out, which can be seen anytime Doey is giggly or he cries. And of course, whenever Doey is angry, Kevin is in the front seat. When the player first meets Doey, he is hidden in the shadows as he grabs Pianosaurus and eats him whole. We don't actually see it, but this teases Doey's monstrous form. He comes forward and introduces himself in a playful manner, a sharp contrast to how he just acted. Following this, we follow him to Safe Haven. When the player finally makes it there, Poppy reveals her plan to stop the prototype. If we destroy the factory, we destroy him. But by doing this, we would also be killing all of the other toys inside of Safe Haven. Everyone would ultimately die, and Doey doesn't exactly agree with this. He expresses how the toys in Safe Haven are his family. He understands what Poppy wants, but is it worth the cost of innocent lives? He asks the player to consider if we throw everything away, everyone, just to kill the prototype, how much did we waste? From this, it's very clear Doey wasn't a fan of Poppy's plan. He cares about the other toys. Like he said, they are family to him. Something he's never really had, and he doesn't want to lose them. The plan is a moral dilemma, and we hear more of this concern while listening to Doey and Poppy talk about it.
I think you might be wrong, Poppy. What you want.
It's the best for everyone, Doey. That no trace of this place is left. We agree to that.
I know. But us, everyone in there, we're not just things gone wrong. We're people. Can't you see that?
I can. And I'm sorry.
They look up to me, Poppy. And I've looked after them the best I could. You disappeared. And now you're asking us to burn everything? All of us? We've made our life protecting these toys. And they've saved us in more ways than one. We...
Poppy, she needs you. Done what I could.
I wish there were another way, Doey. But I just don't see it. We'll talk about this later.
Doey expresses how the toys in Safe Haven are not just things gone wrong, they are people too. But to Poppy, this plan is for the greater good. So like I said, it's a moral dilemma. Doey truly cares for the other toys. They are the only family he's ever had. They don't have much down there, but what they do have is each other. And it seems Poppy just doesn't care.
The prototype. I lost track of him in the tunnels. Have you seen him? Was he at the Foundation? Or was he... What? What's going on? He's... I let him away, didn't I? The generator's fine. It's...
After defeating the Doctor and acquiring the Omni Hand, the player returns to Safe Haven to speak with Poppy and Doey about continuing the plan. With the Omni Hand, they can fix the generator. However, defeating the Doctor gave the prototype an opening to attack Safe Haven. So Poppy asks Doey to distract him while we fix the generator. He is hesitant at first, but Poppy tells him to trust her. So he goes off to distract the prototype. However, after we planted the explosives, Doey meets us outside of Safe Haven and mentions how he lost track of the prototype in the tunnels. Doey thought he led the prototype away, when suddenly an explosion goes off inside of Safe Haven, and we hear Doey let out a chilling "oh no" as he realizes what just happened. When the player returns to Safe Haven, they witness the aftermath of the explosion. All of the toys are dead. All of Doey's family is dead. We find Doey crying over one of the fallen toys. He apologizes over and over, saying he failed them and blames himself for it. This is the same type of guilt Matthew carried on himself after losing his family. The weight of this guilt, that being blaming himself for losing his loved ones, seemed to push Doey over the edge. His tone changes as Kevin takes over and he keeps mentioning hurt. The parents, the scientists, everyone. Then Jack comes out and Doey begins to cry over losing his friends. However, Kevin emerges again. This is another example of how quickly Doey is able to change personalities. In an instant, he can go from crying to extremely angry. This was exactly what the scientists were afraid of in the report from before. 900 pounds of dough that can shift however it pleases at the stray change of an emotion. Doey, rather Kevin, begins blaming the player for all of this pain. How we ruined everything. In a fit of rage, Doey threatens to kill us while hitting a pillar. This causes the rest of Safe Haven to fall on top of him. But then, Doey emerges from the debris in a monstrous form. Pain, sorrow, guilt, and sadness. Every emotion Doey has ever felt from the three boys mixed into one form. Inside his mouth are three humanoid figures, each with red eyes that represent the three boys. Two of the boys have a sad expression. These are Jack and Matthew, while Kevin's face is angry. In this form, Doey has lost all his sanity. His mind is now in a constant battle between the three personalities. He chases the player, and throughout the battle you can hear Doey saying things like,
You and Poppy! It's all your fault! Want to kill you! Kill everyone who hurts me! Rip you to little pieces! Mommy, Daddy, I just want to go home! Couldn't save them! Couldn't save anyone!
Again, this is each boy shining through while in this form, a whirlpool of emotions at every second. Now, we ultimately defeat Doey, and in his final moments, he expresses how they tried to be better, to be who they needed, but says he wasn't smart enough, he wasn't good enough. We then pull down the grinder as it rips into his back, sending blood and pieces of dough flying. His last breath ends with "I'm sorry." This was his final attempt to apologize to the family he thinks he let down, to the toys he lost in Safe Haven. It seemed the emotion he carried with him to his grave was guilt. He blamed himself for everything. This is where Doey's life and story comes to an end. If you haven't picked up on it, there was a theme here with Doey's life. A theme of emotions. They controlled every aspect of him. Doey's were amplified because of the three boys he was made of: happiness, anger, and guilt. He carried these around with him at all times. Every decision he ever made was made with emotions. Returning to Safe Haven instead of leaving. Disagreeing with Poppy's plan to stop the prototype. Him changing back and forth. Even turning into the monster. It was all because of emotions. And the sad part is, he couldn't help it. His design was flawed from the start. You can't mix personalities and expect things to stay smooth forever. His mind was a never-ending cycle of mixed emotions, and because of this, he carried guilt to his grave after losing the family he was unable to save.
I'm sorry.
How do you guys feel about Doey? Was he your favorite character in Chapter 4? I thought he was pretty creative, and having the different personalities inside of him was a nice touch. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifyT. Thanks for watching.